Welcome back. I'm Adam, coach at Functional Bodybuilding and physical therapist. Today we're going to work on the groins, those muscles on the inside of the thighs, also known as your adductors. We're going to start with a nice easy warm-up and then get into a couple more aggressive stretches. Today it'd be helpful to have some object for arm support, maybe a bench, a medicine ball, something about 12 inches off the floor. And also, if you have some weight around, some kettlebells, some dumbbells, or some weight plates, that might also be helpful for a few of our stretches. So let's get into our first sort of warm-up stretch for the adductors. So you're going to come into this quadruped position, hands and knees. From this position, you're going to kick the leg straight out to the side. With that leg out to the side, you're just going to start rocking the butt back. So butt's going to come back. You're going to try to keep this low back nice and flat as you bring the butt back. What I don't want to see is your low back start to round as you sink to the back. So low back is nice and straight. I get a little bit of a pull through my adductors here, through this groin region, and then I come back, okay? Just gently rocking back and forth. We're gonna do about 10 reps. As you ease into this stretch, if you can keep walking that foot out, that would be ideal. Just keep getting a little bit more pulling and stretching through those adductors. Good, and just a couple more. Perfect, then we're gonna switch sides, same thing. So come back to that quadruped position, hands and knees, leg kicks out straight to the side. Keep my back nice and straight. I can even think, oh, I wanna keep a little arch in my back. And then I'm gonna sit my butt back. Pulling through those adductors, just gently rocking back and forth. This one doesn't need to be super aggressive. We're gonna get into some more stretches that you can push the intensity a little bit. But on this one, we're just warming up the hips, warming up those adductors. Okay, we'll go a few more. Keep checking in with that low back, making sure you're not rounding. Keep sinking into that hip. Pulling through the adductors, walking your feet out a little bit farther if you can. We'll just go a couple more. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go to our first stretch, a butterfly stretch. I'm sure most of you have seen this in some capacity, but feet are gonna come together in front of you. You're gonna sit up nice and tall. Ideally, you have a wall supporting behind you so that low back doesn't round and that you can really isolate the stretch to the adductors. If you don't have a wall behind you, it's okay. Just keep checking in with your low back, making sure you're nice and tall, okay? So from this position, I'm gonna try to just let my knees relax towards the floor. See if I can get my knees as close to the floor as possible. And we're just gonna hang in this position, just getting a light stretch through the inside of the hip here, inside of the thigh. Okay. This is where a weight might be good for you, right? Use a little bit of weight to stretch further into this position. If you're against the wall, you can even just use your hands to push down into this position. Okay. If you're not against the wall, you can maybe hold your feet together with one arm, push with one arm, do one side at a time. Lots of different options in this position, okay? Like so. You can even just hang and stretch in this position. We're gonna spend about 2 minutes total in this position. Towards the end of those 2 minutes, we're gonna be just doing a few contractions of the adductor muscles. But for the rest of the time, I'm gonna use a little bit of weight. Again, you can just keep holding in that stretch. You can use other weight objects, whatever you have available. You can use your hand, like I mentioned, but I'm just gonna place a little bit of weight on the inside of the knee, okay? And then I'm just gonna hold on to those weights, make sure they don't slide off. I'm gonna check in with my back again, make sure I'm nice and upright, and then I'm just gonna try to relax into this stretch. I'm gonna let the kettlebells do their job, pushing down into my legs, okay? I'm not gonna resist too much, just gonna really try to open my hips up, get those knees close to the floor. Sitting nice and upright. Again, so we're gonna start some contractions. If you're already, this feels like a pretty intense stretch already, you don't have to add the contractions. The reason we do want to add the contractions is just to gain some control in this position, right? We're really lengthening and stretching those adductors. Now we just want to make sure they can contract and operate or work in that end range position. So I'm going to just push my inside of my knee up into the kettlebell, and I'm going to put a little bit of force down with my hand just to keep my knees where they are. So I'm going to push, doing an isometric contraction of those adductor muscles. I'm going to hold for about 10 to 20 seconds. Holding, 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 and then I'm going to relax again into that stretch. Okay? Let the kettlebells push down, knees going closer to the ground. And then again, I'm going to do another one. Push up into the kettlebells. I push a little bit down with my hands, contracting isometrically those adductors, holding, 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 and then relaxing. Okay? And we'll do one more. So 3 contractions for about 10 to 20 seconds. Okay, ready? Push up and hold, hold, hold. And relax into the stretch. Just a little bit more stretch, and then we can remove the weight. So you don't necessarily need heavy weight for that. Any little force pushing down will be helpful to just push those adductors into a little bit more range. But hips are already starting to feel nice and loose, groins are starting to feel nice and loose. We're going to move into a similar stretch to that butterfly position. But this time we're going to use our body weight to sink into the stretch instead of using additional weight to push into the stretch. So again, I'm going to come up onto my hands and knees like we did our first stretch. Both knees are going to move out to the outside. And then I'm just going to sink my butt down towards the floor, and I'm going to come onto my elbows. Okay? So from here, again, checking in with that low back, making sure that low back isn't rounding. I'm going to push my butt as far back as I can. Start to feel a little bit of a stretch through those adductors, okay? I'll just change direction just a little bit so you can see. From here, my knees come out on the elbows, similar to a forearm plank. And then I'm just sinking my butt back, stretching those adductors, okay? I'm just gonna hold here for about a minute. No contractions on this one. Remembering to still exhale with every exhale, seeing if you can just sink just a little bit deeper into this position. Depending on how mobile your hips are, you might just want to move the feet in and out, see if it changes the stretch for you a little bit, and then wherever you feel the most stretch, just keep the feet in that position. Maybe one more exhale, last sink into the stretch, and come out of that position. Awesome. Nice and easy as you come out of some of these positions. So next we're going to move into our middle split, something you've probably seen a lot of in our cooldowns and persist recently. So for this, you can use some sort of object. I would suggest using some sort of object just so you can really relax into the stretch, right? You may want to start in this position, right? This is my middle split position where I'm just standing. Here I can't really relax as it's kind of scary if my feet are just going to slide out. So I like to either put my arms on an object in front of me for a little bit of support, or just put my arms down on the floor so I can really relax into the stretch. So hands are on the floor. I'm going to walk my feet out as far as I comfortably can. Again, just pulling through those adductors. We're going to hang in this position for about a minute. Continuing to exhale. As you exhale, if you can just walk those feet out a little bit farther, that would be awesome. Keep getting a little bit more stretch through those adductors. Okay. Now this might be a tough position for you. It was for me at one point as well, but just spending time in this position, over time it will get better and better. Okay? The more time you accumulate in this middle split or something similar to this middle split, the easier and easier it's going to be to get into this position. Maybe one day you'll be able to sit full middle split, even better than I am. That would be awesome. But again, if you want that to be a goal, you want to get your middle split, just keep spending time in it. Okay, maybe one more big exhale. And then ease your way out of that position. Awesome. So groins are really nice and loose after those 3 aggressive stretches plus that little warm up. We're just gonna move through some active range, seeing what those adductors feel like as they get towards their end range. So we're gonna go through our Cossack squat. In our Cossack squat, my stance is similar to my middle split, probably just a little bit narrower, and I turn my feet out just a little bit. So from here, I'm gonna just lean towards the side. In this end position, a couple things I'm thinking about. Knee is in line with my toes. My torso is turned just a little bit towards that side. I like to keep my hands out in front just as a little bit of a counterbalance. And then we're gonna switch over to the other side. Same thing on the other side. Knee is in line with toes. Torso rotates just a little bit towards that side. And hands are out in front for a counterbalance, okay? If this position is hard for you, can't really balance in this position, you can hold a light weight out in front of you to act as a counterbalance, or you can also hold on to some sort of object. Hold on to a ring, hold on to that same bench you were using for the middle split, just for a little bit of balance so you can really sink into these deep positions, okay? Again, in the Cossack squat, I'm getting a little bit of a stretch through this adductor on this trail leg, and then I switch back to the other side, okay? We're just gonna do about 5 per side. Hips should feel nice and loose. Hopefully if you're squatting in the next couple days, hips will still be a little bit loose, groins will still be a little bit loose, making those squat positions a little bit easier to get into. Okay, I'm just gonna go 1 more per side. Awesome. Okay, thank you for joining me this week. If you want a little bit more stretch through those adductors, you're feeling warm but you want a little bit more, just run through those same drills 1 more time.